Hi, this is continuation of our previous video. In this video, we are going to see how to manage administrator access to a Gaia portal, creating custom role, configuring a default route, static route, DNS, and we'll also check the connectivity from the Checkpoint Firewall to our internet. In our previous class, we had seen this topology and we had created this topology on our EVNG. So according to our EVNG topology, so this is our topology, which we had earlier worked with. We had made the connectivity. So I'll just once again check the reachability from all the zones. So from the LAN zone, I'll just check the reachability to a LAN interface of the firewall. So it's like 10.11.11.10. You can see I have the connectivity. From the WAN router to the WAN interface, I'll just check the connectivity. I'll try to ping 172.16.3.75. You can see I have a reachability. I'll come to my DMZ router and check the connectivity. Okay, so if I try pinging 192.168.30.10, we can see we have a reachability. So this was the last video which I had created till this point. Now in today's video, first of all, I'm going to configure the user authentication. Okay, that is for the Gaia portal. So I'll basically do a device administration. I'll create a new user. I'll assign a new role to a user for a Gaia access. So here we can see we have a Gaia access to our SMS server. Okay, so I'll log in into our username as an admin, password as a capital T, EST123. It's a test123. Once it is logged in, we can see the users for the Gaia access. Let it get logged in fully. It's taking some time to come up. Okay, here we go. So you can see here we have a user management. So we'll go for a user management. Inside the user management, click on the users, and you can see by default we have the user as an admin through which I have logged in as of now. You can see here a user admin that I have logged in through. Now I want to create a custom user. Okay, so I just want to add a custom user called as a user one, and I'll give a password as a checkpoint with the C capital. Again, I'll repeat, it's a C capital, checkpoint as the password, right? And these are the default roles which are basically present with your Gaia portal. So if I try to give a administrative access, it will be like full access. If I just want to remove it and add the monitor role, I can add it as a monitor role, so it will have the limited access. Let's see. So I created one user over here and I assigned a monitor role to it. Okay, monitor role means it's a kind of a limited privileged user having a monitoring rules only. Now let's test it. I'll log out from here and I'll try to log in with the user one. So I'll say user one, password as a checkpoint, capital CHECKPOINT, checkpoint. And I'll try to log in. And here we go. We are able to log in right now. But we'll have a limited access with this particular user. We have assigned a default role as a monitor. So we won't be able to configure anything else. Rather, we can only monitor the things. So here you just go for the interface and all. You can see you have the interfaces. You can watch the interfaces, but you don't have a privilege to edit it. So you can see here, if I click here, my add or the edit buttons are not getting highlighted over here. And if I go to a users also, I can't add any users. So I have the limited privilege. So that was a default user privilege that I had assigned to a user one. But later, if you want to create a role itself, and that custom role, if you want to assign it to a user, how can you do that? So let's see. I'll log out from this user and I'll log in back to a default user having the admin privilege. So I'll log in with username admin, password as a test 123. I'll log in. So let the GUI come fully. Okay. So let's go back to our user section. Here I can come to a user management section. I'll go to roles. And here you see these are the default roles which are present. So we were able to assign an admin role or a monitor role by default. Okay. So let's say if I want to add a role, I can write the name here as a custom role. And inside that, I can see what are the roles available over here. So whatever the roles you see here, you can select it. Now, let's say, for example, you want a backup to be taken, you can select it. And you can see here, you have three options. None is like that option won't be available. Read only is like only he can access, right? So accordingly, whatever you want, you can select it. Okay, so it's like you can just check mark over here and drag it by pressing the shift and the drag down button of your keyboard. Right, here you have an option of a read only. Right, if you don't want any other options to appear, if you don't want any particular option to appear, you can just go with none. So you have all these options. If you want anything else to be read and write, you can go with this particular option, read and write. Okay, so it's up to you how you want to create all the custom rules. Right, after that we can come to external commands. What external commands your user can configure? Again, it's the same thing. Whatever you select will be present. Let's say I want to give an external command as a ping. So I can select here, I want to give a ping command. So in this way, you can make a collection of rules, whatever you want. So as per the requirement, you can create the rules. So you see here the features and the command that I have assigned to this particular rule has been taken. See, this is just a sample. As per your requirement, you can create your own rules, whatever the privileges you want to assign with a read or read only, or you don't want that option to be present, you can do that. So now what we can do, we can go to our users and come to a user. If I want to change the privilege, then I can remove it from here, add the custom rule and say, okay, right. So in this way, I can add the custom rules. Again, if you want to log in, you can log in back with the user one, password as a checkpoint with the C capital, login, and you'll be getting those privileges that you had assigned. So with this user, currently I had assigned most of the options with the read only, like interface configuration, all those parts we had configured with the read only option. So I can just check it out, like the interfaces are not editable. I can just read only. So if I go to the interface, and if you see, if I click on any one of these interfaces, I'm not able to edit it. It's not editable. So this was a kind of the configuration of the user and the roles on your Gaia portal. Now we'll look into a default route or the static route configuration or the DNS configuration, and how do you make the connectivity from the checkpoint firewall to your internet. So according to this topology, you can see from the checkpoint firewall in a DMZ, I have one loop back interface, which is not reachable, or you don't have the route for this particular loop back. If you come to our checkpoint firewall, if I log in here with the username admin and the password as a test 123, now if I try communicating to 192 192.1.1.3, you can see I don't have a reachability. Network is unreachable because I don't have a route in my routing table. So what should we do? We can configure a route. So I need to log in with the user wherein I have a privilege to configure. So this was an access to a SMS server. So I need a configuration on of the route on the firewall. So what I can do is I can get the Gaia access of the firewall. That's your HTTPS colon double slash. It's 105.0.0.253. The IP address of the firewall. I'll open it. I'll log in with the username admin, password as a test123. And once I'm logged in, from here I can go for a static route, default route, DNS configuration, everything. So let the GUI appear first. So as you can see in our topology, like our IP address is 253 for the firewall over here. So I'm trying to get a GUI access, Gaia GUI access for this particular firewall. Now, here you guys can see currently I was accessing the firewall through a CLI. It was accessible through a CLI. Right, we have logged in through a CLI over here. That's a reason why GUI is showing locked over here. So I won't be able to configure anything through a GUI itself. So these things you need to take care. Okay, if I go for a static route over here, you can see I won't be able to edit it because the configuration lock has been taken here. So if I want to configure it through a GUI, I have to unlock this. And then I need to come here, need to add a static route for this loopback. So you can see our loopback 192.1.1.3. So I can quickly come here and I can configure 192.1.1.0 with the subnet mask as a 24 I want to assign. And I want to give a gateway as the router IP. So we can see our router IP address is 192.168.30.3. So I'll take it here as a gateway. I'll be creating a gateway IP address 192.168.30.3. So once I give this and click on save, so I can see a static route has been created here, right? Click on apply. Now I'll go to a checkpoint firewall and I'll try to ping this particular host. And this time it does not say network unreachable. There might be some issues on our DMZ router side. We'll just check it and verify it. Show IP interface brief. We can see we have 192.1.1.3. We'll check so IP route. Do I have a default route? Yes, I do have a default route towards this gateway. If I try pinging, yeah, I do have a reachability. Now from this checkpoint firewall, I'll try pinging the gateway. That's our 192.168.30.3. I do have a reachability and I'll try to test the connectivity. I'm not getting the connectivity. There might be some issue. So we'll check and do the verification. Sometimes due to problem of your anti-spoofing on the interfaces also might cause a error for not pinging. Okay, so in my case, well, the anti-spoofings, let's check. I'll go for the smart console. I'll open the smart console. Or sometimes it might take some time to make the connectivity as well. So here I'll log in with test 123. Let it log in first. So we'll check the policy and we'll check the anti-spoofing at the interfaces. Sometimes your smart console takes time to launch, so you have to wait. Oh, here we go. So sometimes if you have an anti-spoofing enabled at the interfaces, that also might cause the issue for not pinging the external or the indirectly connected subnets. Okay. So just check it. Come to the network management and also just come to the interface. Like we are trying to get into a DMZ. So just click on edit. Make sure that anti-spoofing is disabled. Anti-spoofing is disabled. So we should be able to ping. Even check it for the outside. I mean, like for the WAN, right? It's a disabled. Okay. So if it is not disabled, you should disable it. And we have a security policy as a any as of now. The last video I had shown how to go with the cleanup rule. Okay. So we do have a cleanup rule over here. This rule is of no use. For temporary, I had created one rule earlier. Okay, so we can see here we have a cleanup rule with the source as any source to any destination to the checkpoint firewall, right? Okay, so if I install this policy, might be sometimes, like something might get stuck somewhere. You might not get an access. So try to look into those stuffs. Okay, so by looking all this stuff, let this policy also get deployed 100%. See, your routing is not actually dependent on your policies. It's totally dependent on the Gaia itself. So on the Gaia, we have already, let's say, yeah, in a Gaia, we have given a default route towards the 192.168.30.3. Okay, so let the policy also get deployed. So we'll be sure for 100%. And we'll try to ping 192.1.1.3 and press enter. And you see we do have a connectivity. Even the policy wasn't deployed. It takes some time. Sometimes it happens on the EVNG, so never mind. We see we have a reachability. Okay, and the options, whatever I have shown you, please look into those options. Sometimes due to those options error also, you might not be able to ping the destination. Now I'll try to configure a default route. I need the internet access from this particular firewall. I need the internet access towards the 254 gateway. I'll be trying to communicate to the internet. So my router IP address is 254. So I'll try to give a default route towards the 254. As you can see, a topology also. So here is my router, my home router, which is 254. So here, if I give a default route towards the 254, I'll get an access to the ISP or the internet. So let's do it. I'll go to a Gaia portal. And in here, you can see by default, there is given a default route. You can just double click on it, go to a gateway, we'll edit it, and we'll change the gateway. So my gateway is 172.16.3.254. I would say okay, click on save. And you can see my default route has been applied here. Okay. Now, if you come to your checkpoint firewall, And from here, if you try to reach any destinations at the outside, first of all, you better ping the gateway 172.16.3.254. See it's reachable or not. Yes, it's reachable. And try to reach any destination at the outside 8.8.8. You can see you do have a reachability. So this is how you can make the connectivity from the firewall to a internet, right? And the last thing that we are going to see in this video is to configure a DNS and all. So you can see you have a DNS part over here. So if you have any primary DNS or a secondary DNS to configure, you guys can configure it like this. So that's all for this video, guys. I'll see you in the next video with a new topic. Thank you. See you in the next video. Thanks.